Hello, hello, hello! How are we all? I'm back from the exotic lands of Portugal. I can say that now because I'm back, so you can't find me in that country that I was in. I'm now home, and I got home yesterday, basically, as of the day of recording this, and that means I got home a day before Season 5 releases. So, in the context of wanting to avoid emotional, mental, and physical whiplash, I suppose it's a good thing that we're still stuck on consoles. Something that we do intend to change before Road Court comes out, but still, obviously, there's not going to be any Season 5 gameplay on this channel for at least a week and a half. I'm assuming that they'll probably get the update out before the exact 2 weeks from today. But obviously, we're on consoles, we're going to have to wait over a week. That doesn't change the fact that the update is out as I'm recording this, and therefore so are the patch notes, which is a thing that I've been waiting to do. I was expecting to have to do it while I was away, because the experimental branch launched at the exact same time as that last video, the trailer breakdown, and that meant that the experimental branch launched as well. Is that what I just said? I think that's what I just said. The experimental branch launched at the same time as the trailer did, right? And that's been going on until today. And if you had access to the experimental branch, then you would have access to the patch notes. I don't have access to the experimental branch. Previously, I've been able to view the patch notes on the Steam forums. Can't do that anymore. Don't know why. They're not posting them. So, sorry. But even though a lot of people have made videos and done live streams playing the experimental build, they haven't covered the patch notes specifically. One guy did, and I had a look at that video, or the stream that this guy did. I can't remember his name. I do apologize, but it's not like I'm using his content, so it's fine. And he did go through the patch notes, and that's how I was able to glean certain stuff. I don't know how much has changed from that to now. As far as I know, Mike has been pretty adamant that there won't be weapon balancing in this update, which is not something I inherently disagree with, especially because of how much else is in it. But weapon balancing, I suppose it was only so highly valued because Season 4 was so bad. I guess that's something worth pointing out. But I think balancing, I'll get into that actually at the end. I think for now we need to get into the actual patch notes, especially because we're going to be starting this video with another trailer. So I think it's best that we actually get into that stuff. So here we go. Season 5 Drilling Deeper is out now. See the full release trailer and full patch notes right here. Hello miners, welcome to Season 5 Drilling Deeper. Management's got their sights set on mineral riches deeper down towards Hoxie's core, which means we're increasing your depth of operations. You're venturing down deeper than ever before, claiming unprecedented treasure for the company and confronting all the lethal horrors that stand in your way. In other words, it's another great day at work. Just completely emblematic of the really perfect framework of a theme that they've constructed for this season. It's just, you know, they've dealt with the rivals, they dealt with the rockpox, thank fuck. And now DRG is just setting its sights on expanding operations, which will, you know, lead into Road Court and why what's happening in Road Court is happening. Obviously, the story is not, you know, that hard, that set, but there is still a narrative element there of what's going to happen now that DLG is possibly getting greedier. Anyway, so we do have the Season 5 full release trailer. Now, I'm going to play this, not because the trailer, I don't expect it to be particularly fruitful in terms of revealing anything we haven't seen before. I really don't think that's the point at all. But I have watched a little bit of it, just to check the audio, and it does actually play the new track, the new piece of music that they've added to the game, which is related to the Corestone season event, which obviously we'll talk about in a minute, but I want to play the trailer so you can hear that new song. So obviously if you don't want to hear that, let's hold on, skip a minute and a half ahead, basically, if you don't want to hear the song. So yeah, let's play the trailer now.
It's a drill and an elevator. I get it now.
So yeah, a really neat little trailer actually, I think, especially because it uses that new piece of music, which makes Season 5 really stand out. I think, we'll talk about this on the podcast this week. I mean, obviously. Because new music is something that we've been not begging for. We don't need a volume 3, but we've always said that it didn't really make sense that it basically seemed like music tied to season themes was never considered. I don't think that's true. I think they actually have considered doing that before, but they kind of just dropped the idea, especially because I believe Sophus, who is the composer, wasn't working with the company over the last few years. He's actually back. This track is by Sophus, who is the original composer for Deep Rock Galactic, which I think does mean that he'll be back for Rotor as well, which is awesome. And I really like what I'm hearing. I am assuming this is not necessarily from Rotor, actually, because this is probably a bit early for the Rotor soundtrack to have even really started. I don't know that. It's a shot in the dark, but I think it's a really great piece, and if it has anything to do with how Rotor might feel or sound, then I'm completely down for that. But yeah, so that's really all the trailer really showed us. Obviously it shows you everything, and I'll probably use some of that footage maybe to reference when we're talking about the Core Stone event, because I guess especially people in my position who can't play the update now and won't be able to for at least a week, probably don't really know what the Core Stone actually is, and the fact that it's actually a boss fight. I guess I should have said spoilers for Season 5, but, you clicked on a patch notes video, so that's your problem, really. Anyway, I think it is high time to get into said patch notes. I should probably point out that a lot of this is going to be very similar to what you would find in the preview post, which is right below this, but there is going to be more detail, all the miscellaneous stuff as well. And what I do know from watching that one person's video where they did go through the patch notes, a lot of details actually on all of the cosmetics that they added, which is actually a really nice touch. It sort of gets into how much was added to each individual loot pool and whatnot, and what every cosmetic is called. I'm assuming that's retained in this version of the patch notes. We'll see. Let's get into it finally. I have to put some kind of timestamp because we're starting the patch notes at 8 minutes. Let's go. Patch notes. Season 5 drilling deeper. New mission. Deep scan. Management has identified a new mineral priority, morkite seeds. Rumour has it that these could optimise the morkite refining process tenfold. The problem is they're located much deeper down in Hoxie's than we're used to, hidden away in dazzling morkite geodes, which we saw in the trailer, of course. This bright, sparkly purple room. You're going to have to locate several resonance crystals in the cave system using your telemetric rangefinder. Use the crystals to perform deep scans and pinpoint the location of the morkite geode. Once you've got that, a drill elevator will be sent down to bring you to the geode where you can collect the precious morkite seeds. Management advises that you familiarise yourself with the mission details in the miner's manual prior to your first descent. Good luck. So yeah, that's a basic explanation of the mission. I think that'll suffice. Basically, you go into the cave, you're looking for resonance crystals that are sort of buried in the ground, like Jade or quarks, although I think they are much more hidden, which is why you come equipped with a scanner that sort of essentially plays hot or cold with you to help you find the crystals. And once you find them and dig them up, then you call in a scanner, and then you perform a scanning procedure, which is a defense objective technically, but it's also not technically. It's not zone defense, it doesn't get damaged, but I do think it will summon enemies while it's scanning. And once you've scanned the appropriate number of crystals, which is either going to be 3 or 5, I believe, are the only variations, the drill elevator will be sent down because you have now located the geode. So the drill elevator will be sent down, then you go to the drill elevator, activate it, and the drill elevator will start digging downwards towards the geode. You have to protect the drill elevator in this vertical combat scenario, which is very intense. And then once you reach the geode, things really calm down, and you can just mine away at the morkite seeds. And then once you've done that, you go back to the drill elevator, and it gives you jet boots Mark II to help you extract. So that's a really basic rundown of the mission, although I think that is all there is to it, so it's not that basic. So yeah, that's the new mission, Deep Scan. Sounds good. I'm really excited to start actually playing it and feeling out the gameplay loop, and obviously factoring it into our tier lists. Anyway, season event. Core Stone. Reports are coming in of a peculiar new mineral formation in the caves. R&D's best guess is it's something from deeper down near the core of Hoxie's. What we know for certain is that these formations contain a core stone, and management wants to get their hands on them. But beware, once you've disturbed the core stone, you're in for a fight. It will open up rifts in the cave walls and summon a hideous new enemy, unlike anything we've seen in Hoxie's so far. They're called core spawn crawlers, and they're not to be underestimated. Fight them off as you neutralise the core stone, then deposit the stone in a specialised extraction pod to complete the event. So, yeah. This is a new season event, and it's not as reduced as we kind of expected. I think once we first saw it and we knew that it's basically something that you mine, kind of anticipated that might be all there is to it. It was going to be a very simple season event that's really just there to tease rogue core, then tease rogue core, because it's still teasing it, but much more strongly than we anticipated. Once you actually mine out the core stone that's in the core stone, it sort of turns into this boss fight scenario where it starts opening up rifts, which obviously makes it feel like they're coming from another dimension. I don't think they are. I think these are like rifts, like portals from deeper down where the core spawn crawlers live, and the core stone is summoning them. It's basically like a single enemy focused horde mode scenario, basically, and you also have to destroy the core stone on top of that. I don't think it really does attacks. I assume the rifts are dangerous to be near, but I don't think the core stone itself attacks you. It's really just about the crawlers and sort of becoming this horrible horde of creatures that sort of jump and like leave like black puddles of goo and shit. It seems pretty cool. And they are of course one of the new enemies, but let's get into that now. The new enemies. Glyphid Stalker, a cunning new Glyphid variant. This enemy is capable of cloaking to near invisibility, burrowing for rapid repositioning, and launching ambush attacks that temporarily disable your shields. Glyphid Stalker was in the works since Season 4. It's finally coming to the game. Vartok Scale Bramble, an invasive, semi-sentient plant consisting of an impenetrable acid-spitting core and an array of sensory feeler nodules. Take out the nodules to open up the core. An enemy that seems actually pretty cool in practice. Quite deadly, but also quite frail, but also take it out in a weird way in that you have to find these weak points that are sort of spread throughout the cave. Not usually too far, but they can be far enough to be hidden away. And it also should have been a core lock. Barrage Infector, a new variant of the Infector species. I love the Infector species, so they got a great name. Their branding's on point. A new variant of the Infector species. This one's bigger, tougher, and shoots a salvo of explosive bile. Aim for the sack and watch out for splash damage. In my opinion, this is what the new Sludge Pump Overclock should have been, basically. Even though the Barrage Infector kind of uses like Sludge Blast, basically, it shoots out a shotgun of timed explosives. I'm just saying, the new Sludge Pump Overclock should make the puddles do what the Barrage Infector's explosives do. Whatever. Core Spawn Crawler. Unlike any creature previously spotted in the Caves of Hoxes, these mysterious fiends should not be underestimated. You'll need to dispatch them without hesitation if you want to make it home alive. And that's kind of all there is to it. I already mentioned that they do jump and they leave goo behind when you kill them that I assume does damage you, because a lot of things do that. Anyway, let's get into Hazard 5 Plus, which is a massive feature that I keep forgetting about. It's really weird. We've added Hazard 5 Plus to offer experienced players an extra level of challenge. With Hazard 5 Plus, you can adjust 4 variables to add to the baseline Hazard 5 difficulty. Aggressive enemies, player vulnerability, more enemies, and tough enemies. I'm going to quickly run down. Aggressive enemies increases enemy speed, attack speed, and projectile speed. So enemies will move faster, they will attack more often, and enemies that use projectiles, those projectiles will move faster. Player vulnerability basically increases the amount of damage that you take from all sources. More enemies, tough enemies, makes them, more durable. Each of the 4 options can be adjusted to your taste, and each offers 2 levels of increased intensity. This feature will only be available at the Hazard 5 difficulty, something they've been very adamant about, and I do not think are going to walk back, especially at this point. All Hazard 5 Plus games will be categorized together in the server list, but you'll be able to see which specific modifier switches they have activated. This difficulty level must be unlocked via the Beyond Lethal assignment. Just remember, it's like Hazard 5, but plus. Which for me is probably the coolest big new feature. It's not feature number 1 for me. We'll get into that in a minute. And I'm sure you already all know what that is. And it's not overclocks, because that's one of the big features. New overclocks. Added 12 new overclocks, 1 for each primary weapon, plus 1 rework of an existing overclock. So here they are in this form. I can kind of tell you what they all do, but I don't know if that's really the right place to do that. I'd rather do that in all of the overclock focus videos I'm going to be doing over the few weeks after we get the update. I'm not even going to tell you what category they're in, because to be honest, I don't know. Like Burst Fire, for example, seemed like it was going to be clean, then it changed to a balanced, and apparently that happened internally multiple times as well. Whatever. So Rotary overdrive for the minigun, mortar rounds for the Thunderhead, cluster charges for the Hurricane, burst fire for the Deep Core GK2, mark for death for the M1000, conductor thermals for the Drac, pump action for the Warthog, hyperalloy assembly for the Stubby, a rework of turret arc into microconductor add-on for the Stubby, smart trigger operating system trademark for the smart rifle, scorching tide for the flamethrower, crystal nucleation for the cryo cannon, and combustive goo mix for the corrosive surge pump. If you want to know what these do, I recommend a video that Drilling in the Name of did. It's a fantastic video that briefly showcases all of the overclocks in action in a really well framed cinematic fashion, but it's still very accurate to how they operate. So I do recommend checking that video out. I will probably link it actually. I'm sure he'll appreciate that. Alright, let's get into some more of the miscellaneous but still sort of headline stuff. New secondary objectives. Barnacles. This pernicious and rather gross invasive species is taking up residence in some caves. They are to burrow in the ceilings. Look up and shoot them out wherever you see them. Swarmer eggs. We've noticed new clutches of glyphid eggs popping up. Like most eggs, they are completely defenseless. Track them down and smash them with any tools at your disposal. So yeah, getting new secondary objectives was a big surprise. Although there was this time, a specific instance where Ghost Ship sort of teased, oh, there's even more in Season 5 than you think. And we were like, secondary objectives? And we were right. I've noticed some weird stuff, from reviewing gameplay or Season 5 from people, streaming experimental build. It seems like both of these secondary objectives have variable quotas, which I find interesting. I don't know if that means variable quotas are being introduced for all secondary objectives. It seems like it's at least the case for both of these, which is very strange, and it's clearly something that they're going for. The barnacles being something you need to kill with a variable quota. Swarmer eggs are actually the same. One's really just on the ceiling, one's on the floor. But swarmer eggs, I've noticed, the idea really is just for there to be a lot of them. I noticed the quota going from 40 up to 50 something. So I think the point there is just for there to be a lot of eggs to smash, basically. And these aren't the only secondary objectives, because we got new deep dive secondary objectives, which I kind of anticipated. Season 5 is such just a barrage of Ghost Ship just saying yes to things, and honestly, finally introducing new secondary objectives for the deep dives where they should have been before is something that I can't say surprises me that much. I still wish deep dives were better in some ways, and I kind of wish that these secondary objectives would be applied to normal missions, but alas. In addition to the deep scan primary objective mission type going into the deep dive mission pool, obviously, we're adding two new secondary objectives for deep dives. So the deep scan in secondary objective form is using the telemetric rangefinder to locate resonance crystals and unearth them to cool down a resonance scanner, get it hooked up to crystal, perform a deep scan. So yeah, that's it as a secondary objective. We also got one for liquid morkite extraction. Find a single well of liquid morkite, cool down a pump jack, and build a pipeline to a morkite extraction pod. The morkite must flow. Which is actually one of the more interesting ones, because obviously this relates to Roughnecks at Work, the update that added morkite extraction, or what was it called? On-site refining, and escort duty, right? And they never had deep dive secondary objectives tied to them, which was always kind of bizarre. I think everyone sort of thought that was a little bit weird, especially us. And we kind of use that as evidence that they were a bit too complex, but obviously they managed to do one at least for on-site refining. Escort duty makes a bit more sense. That's definitely harder to translate. We'll see. We're still not done with headline features though, because we obviously have a bunch of new warnings and anomalies. New warnings. Duck and cover. Macteras, infectors, and spitters. Oh my. Jump into a cave packed with an extra helping of projectile shooting enemies. This time, the bugs shoot back. Sounds awful and intense and fun, because I'm a masochist. Ebonite outbreak. The caves have an unusual concentration of stony armoured ebonite glyphids. Their only vulnerability is melee damage. Better keep those pickaxes close at hand. So the ebonite enemies from the ebonite mutation machine event being added to the normal pools. I don't know if this includes ebonite swarms or just a helping of ebonite enemies that just show up pretty often. Obviously, you can only kill those with melee damage, which is why the machine event takes the form of a pickaxe overcharge sprinkler that shoots out power-ups that reduce your pickaxe power attack cooldown by a lot. I've seen gameplay of this in the trailer, actually. So it was in the narrated trailer, so that's fine. Most people should know, but Molly spits out power-ups at a regular frequency. Maybe only when the ebonites are nearby, I don't know. They're not very intensive, and they do despawn after a while, so it shouldn't really matter if she's just constantly spewing them out, but we'll see. It's still probably one of the things I'm actually most excited about is a secondary, not a warning that's willing to be sort of this transformative, but also simplistic. It's not rival presence or Lithophage outbreak. It's something else. Anyway, new anomalies. Secret secondary. Management has tacked on another side objective for you. A second secondary, if you will, is a secret. You'll find out what it is once you're down in the dig site. Very simple, but sort of really just adds a couple more incentives for you to do things while in the mission. You know, it's like neither secondary is essential, but all of a sudden you've got two secondaries. You're going to want to do both and have that full list, you know. You're going to want to do a secret secondary, lithophage outbreak, and find a machine event, because then you'll have 5 objectives completed, which just sounds incredible. Blood sugar. Bad news. The caves are filled with airborne toxins that constantly drain your health. Good news. These toxins also make liquid blood crystallize into healing red sugar you'll need to kill to survive. So basically, in this anomaly, when it's active, you take damage constantly, but every enemy drops red sugar, basically. And I think it is every enemy, even tiny enemies, although you'd assume they'd only be like 1 health. I have to assume there's going to be like a variable amount, basically, you know. 1 health from a Swarmer, 3 health from a Grunt, 10 health from a Praetorian, something like that. I don't know. Season reactivation enabled. We've added the ability to reactivate any season anytime you want and play through them at your own pace. There's also an option to play DRG in a season neutral or unseasoned mode. You can access all this in a new tab in the season terminal, and you can read more about how it works here, which I think I'll probably have to put in the description. I'll link to that. I'm not going to go into exactly how the feature works, but if I were to keep it brief, it's basically you selecting what performance path you want to progress, and also influence which events you want to be more common, basically. It's not too transformative of the game. It's more about tweaking frequencies and rarity of events, basically. So it doesn't actually take any content away, and it just lets you progress whatever season, you know, performance path and cosmetic tree that you want. That's the funny stuff. I just ran out of disk space right after finishing the point about season reactivation, so that's fine. Although, to be honest, I'm not sure where all the memory's going. It honestly feels like I'm actually running out. Any advice would be appreciated. Anyway, new Armor and Heartstone phase. This is something we've been wanting to do for a long time, is it? The Armor and Heartstone now has a 3rd attack phase in its repertoire, adding some unpredictability to each encounter. For this new attack, the Armor targets a random player attempting to trap the unfortunate dwarf in crystal growths bursting out of the ground. Stay mobile and be extra vigilant when in the vicinity of the Retta, as the crystal bursting out of the ground will do devastating damage to clear the Retta. Don't let the rock lay the smackdown. Okay, so a new phase for the Armor and Heartstone. I need to explain this a bit better, actually, than this does. So it adds a new phase that will now be added to a pool. So there's already 2 Armor attacks. There's the floating rocks and the beamers that sort of rise out the ground. And now there's this one. Each one will be randomly selected for the 2nd and 4th phases of the Heartstone fight. It's not a new phase. It's not adding on. And they do mention it adds on some unpredictability, which was really the crux of it. It kind of didn't matter what the attack was. It just mattered that it added some unpredictability to the encounter, because it was so predictable. Anyway, that's actually just it. I need to get through the rest of this. New dance move. Bully Maguire, SpongeBob Shuffle, and twerking. Great. Cosmetic filtering. We've implemented a few handy options to keep track of your growing wardrobes. You'll now be able to filter your cosmetics by subtype, style, and season, making it quicker to put the perfect look together. We've also introduced a novelty and company-approved toggle for the randomized option to give you a bit more control over your randomized outfits. I'm not going to go into every option that you have available here. I could find some footage that shows that, but it's better that you either find that for yourself or just jump into the game if it's available for you. Reworked status effect overlays. Added and reworked 20 plus visual overlays for status effects like getting webbed, set on fire, or breaking your shield. The ones that already existed look better now, and implemented new visuals for status effects that didn't used to have any POV overlay. So that's basically on-screen effects that happen when you are affected by pretty much anything. I think it even includes just basic damage feedback with the blood. So there you go. New items for Lost Packs, Cargo Crates, and Matrix Cores. So this is all of the stuff that was added aside from the seasonal cosmetics. So yeah, as many seasonal cosmetics are being as many seasonal cosmetics are being migrated over to the performance passes and cosmetic trees where they originally appeared, we're adding some fresh stuff into various loot pools, such as the weapon framework danger dice, which will be in the cargo crates, pickaxe set diamond cutter for the lost packs, pickaxe set spring loaded also for lost packs, armor paint job harbinger, armor paint job Ikari, armor paint job retro galaxy, all of which will also be in lost packs, weapon paint job flaming hot, weapon paint job buff, and weapon paint job bubblegum, all for cosmetic matrix cores. Just a really nice addition. I'm excited for a lot of these as well, particularly the flaming hot weapon paint job and the danger dice framework. The framework is very simple. It literally just hangs dice off your weapon, but I can't blame them. Adding 2 frameworks in a season is weird unless it came in the form of a DLC. Danger dice is a very simplistic sort of conceptual idea that just hang some ghost ship themed dice off of the weapons. Why not? New promotion tiers. Add an expanded promotion tracker to show the number of promotions past Legendary 3, better known as Red 3. Now you can really show off your work experience. Yeah. So there it is, infinite promotions. Basically, after Legendary 3, there will now be a little window that shows the number of promotions you've done past Legendary 3. So yeah. So it doesn't include the first 3, which means once you go from 3 to 4, it should actually say 1. Anyway, it's the thing I'm most excited about, genuinely, though. It's so good. New weapon maintenance paint jobs. It was a surprise to find out that we'd be getting 3 new weapon maintenance main jobs. We're building out the weapon maintenance reward system with 3 new paint jobs to earn. Weapon maintenance 5.1 Liberty, weapon maintenance 5.2 Heavy Metal, and weapon maintenance 5.3 Dragon Scale. I have seen these. Heavy Metal looks very good. New skin tones, so there's even more cosmetics actually outside of the season stuff. So we've got new skin tones. A bunch of them were automatically added, which is almond, cool brown, deep brown, olive, and porcelain, which you just get by default, like the standard set we already have. But we also got some added to the shop. Orcish, cerulean blue, and Rager. I've seen Rager. Rager is like extremely red. I assume people are going to use that to just make, like, I don't know, Red Hulk or hobgoblins or something. I don't know. Yeah, this stuff is not. We don't need to talk about this. All right, let's get into. Yeah, okay. No weapon balancing, as we just found out. Is that right? Yeah, nothing. Okay, cool. So, okay, a bunch of weird community request stuff. Added voice line kill cries to Mactera Grabber, Glyph. That spelling of Glyphid is amazing. Glyphid, Acid Splitter, and Web Splitter. Added a select random mission option in the terminal, only available for hosts. Basically, what this does, I believe, all it does, it takes you to a random mission on the map for you to change, like, it doesn't randomly send you into one in the server list. It doesn't randomly send you into a mission without telling you what it is. It gives you a mission to choose the parameters of, like, choose the difficulty and whatnot of in the moment. Right? It doesn't take you out of the map, I'm pretty sure. Glyphic Acid Splitter. Change the Acid Splitter's projectile damage over time. Damage type from generic to poison. The projectile impact remains kinetic. Now, that's interesting because I thought that was already the case, and that's why Engineer could actually resist some of that damage with his armor upgrade. And also, you could resist some of the damage with elemental insulation. I guess not. But honestly, a lot of what they're doing here is making it so that perk specifically, elemental insulation, is actually going to actually be buffed indirectly. Corona Shellback. Change the Shellback projectile damage type from explosive to a mix of explosive and poison. Infectors. Converted the infected projectile area damage from explosive to a mix of explosive and poison. Direct damage remains kinetic. Glyphid Dreadnoughts. Converted various Dreadnought fireball projectile area damage type from explosive to a mix of explosive and fire. So this is standard Dreadnought Fireball, Hiveguard Mortar Fireball, and Arbalest Spread Fireball. So this should all help Driller, his temperature installation upgrade, actually be better. Native Sight Shocker changed the damage and the STE to actually be electric type damage and thereby get affected by the elemental installation perk. It's weird that's the only one that mentions elemental installation, isn't it? So we'll see. Typos. Probably added more than we fixed, lol. Right. Miscellaneous. Okay. Added new rock and stone animation for dual wield weapons that doesn't move the left hand up. Dual wield weapons. Oh, right. Drills and Zukovs. I've like there's only one, so Zukovs, but then I remembered the drills exist. Added option to rejoin but only after a crash on deep dives up until the drop pod has been called. Good. Significantly reduce the time impact axes embedded in a creature take to disappear after the target dies to not confuse them for retrievable ones. Good. Change the satchel charge's blinking light to a less blinding, softer one. Very soothing. I don't think there was ever a problem with that. Increase the explosion damage of the special explosive chemical bolts on the bolt shot crossbow, and change the damage type to explosive. So now it hits Glyphid Slasher and Mactera Spawn Break. That's a weapon buff. You can put that in weapon balancing. That's really awesome. They specifically made it so it hits Slasher and Mactera Spawn Breakpoints. That's awesome. Like, genuinely a really great buff. Makes me feel a bit better about that. Fix bolt shock bolts sometimes triggering fear without the tier 5 upgrade. I never noticed that happening actually. Polished up the Driller Scale Brigade and Scouts Mark 1 armor suits. Okay. Did some visual tweaks and fixes on the Mark 1 and Mark 2 armor undersuits. Changed the placement of the Ragdoll lifetime option to distinguish it from other graphics options. Are we going to get the graphics options? I hope so. Made the overclock UI scale the overclock's description text to better fit longer translations. Okay. Updated space rig dressing for seasons 1 and 2. I've seen a bit of that actually. So when you use the season reactivation feature to switch to season 1 or 2, the space rig will actually be decked out with like sort of like rival tech and stuff. Like I assume this is for season 1, maybe season 2 as well. I don't know if there's much difference, but for season 1 at least, there's like a prospector hanging from the ceiling which is actually really cool. I don't know how they found the time to bring a whole prospector back. It seems a bit over the top. Added props from each season to Hidden Dwarf Prop Hunt Beer, reflecting whichever season space rig you have active. That's a bit much. Re-added frameworks to cargo crates that were missing since the maintenance update. Which one? I assume the February one, otherwise it'd be a bigger deal. Neon Band, Glyphid Trophy Hunter, Scale Brigade, Mechanized, Custom Engineered, and Fourth Relic. I did not know that they were missing, but that's kind of funny. This one isn't part of the patch notes. Confuse my boss by leaving a comment with whatever you had for breakfast. Okay, thanks, Aaron. Tweaked Stingtail's collision around its nose horn to make it better match the visuals. That's good. Fixed some of the Stingtail armor plates not breaking correctly. Added a reaction to Data Cell being hooped. Awesome. Added milestones for the new mission and new warnings to the key performance indicators terminal. I think there should be one for the secondary objectives too, right? Added rich present status descriptions on Steam and Discord for prop. Well, I don't know what that means. Fixed Jet Boot's first-person particles being offset. Fixed network stats getting clipped on players' HUD when set to the detailed option. Fixed late join/rejoin pod beacon lingering too long after it lands. Okay. Fixed issue where holding left click to throw a carryable object can make you start pickaxing even without you holding right click. Fix the power attack activating when not intended, such as when performing a pickaxe cancel. Fix Corona not working properly with the volatile guts anomaly. Fix the rival tech router node sometimes encroaching on other important objectives and locations. Did they ever do that? Fixed a bug that allowed you to use some weapon abilities that were triggered by holding reload while grabbed and thereby not supposed to be able to shoot. Is that a hurricane thing? I think that's a hurricane thing. Fixed a crash triggered by picking up the glowing ball in the space rig. Orb pondering is so back. Wait, so that's the football, right? From the patrol bot or something. So that was making the game crash, okay? Fixed instances where weapon stat upgrade visuals got rounded to whole numbers when they should not. Okay, that's good. Fixed issue where Scout's grappling hook would sometimes not respond if activated while starting to sprint. Consoles only added a Ragdoll lifetime option. There you go. Probably going to turn that down a lot. PlayStation only for DualSense added. Yeah, okay, whatever. So there you go. There's everything. Sans weapon balancing. That's a perfect update, baby. That's got everything you need in it to make the game playable forever. Probably not forever, or at least not to an exceptional degree forever. But still, my God, they pulled their big boy pants. They put on the big boy pants for this one. And it's a really fantastic update that we will talk about in more detail on the podcast this week, but also in the future once we actually get our hands on it, and obviously you'll see us playing it. So yeah, obviously I'm gonna have to now render this video because it's in two halves unintentionally. But hopefully it will still be out relatively soon. One thing I do want to check actually, because obviously there will be more patches post launch. Not any just yet. What the fuck? And they're also obviously live streaming right now, but there will almost definitely be more patches post launch, which I will of course make sure to cover. We have a known issue in general. All mods can be unstable. Okay. Whatever. There it is. So of course, if you enjoyed or found this video useful, please make sure to like and subscribe. If you want to stay on top of everything to do with Deep Rock and Rogue Core, then of course click the notification bell as well. Thank you so much, by the way, for all of the just general support and growth we've been experiencing recently, hitting 900 subscribers, getting like a lot of views on non-news videos has been like really like fulfilling actually. I don't ride or die by YouTube. It's not the defining thing in my life like at all, but it's still a really cool thing that we do. And for it to sort of be successful to any degree is actually really appreciated, because obviously, you know, we don't invest a whole lot into it, but we do care a lot about it. It's kind of a weird there's a weird dissonance between how much effort we put in and how much we care. It's really weird. So just thank you everyone for any support that you've shown, for subscribing or liking or commenting or doing anything or just watching the videos. It's really really cool. But that's all for today. Like I said, I need to go and render this video because my laptop is slowly but surely running out of the ability to do anything. See you soon? Maybe sooner than you think. Maybe sooner than I think. I don't know. Bye bye.